In today's video, we are turning this piece of wood to this functional table. Let's jump right in. So this piece of wood is all the way from Turkey, and it is from an Etsy shop called Conquest Woods. I will link them in the description below. Now, I ordered 2 of these and was really impressed with this wood. It is stabilized and it's literally ready to work with resin, and it was quite inexpensive compared to everywhere else I looked, and so I'm really pleased and I'm ready to start casting with it. One of my clients has selected this to be a table, and so it's time to sort of start casting with it. And in order to make the mold, I'm going to take an easy route to do that. I'm actually placing this on a silicone mold that I already have. I have clamped this cookie down onto the mold with my clamps, and in order to secure any leakage from underneath the cookie, I'm going to go ahead and go around the wood with some hot glue. And I feel like this is going to be an easy way to do this rather than actually making a custom mold for this pour. Whether it works or not, we will find out. But yeah, I'm going to go around and glue this down. Now that the outside of the cookie is sealed onto the mold, I'm also going to do the same thing on the inside, just because once again I don't want any resin going underneath. Well, some of it might, but I don't want to waste resin with it going underneath all of it and then flowing. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and seal both the sides. Now, I don't know if you can see from that angle, but I do have a little area which is a gap between the cookie, so I do need to close that off, and I'm just using a bit of plastic and once again some hot glue, and I'm going to glue some plastic down and close that edge essentially. So yeah, with that done, I'm ready to start coating this with some resin. So I'm using my Jade Diction Officials resin, and I have mixed a tiny amount in here. And I'm going to use this brush just to sort of brush on this cookie, and essentially this step is to seal the wood for the pour, so that when we do actually pour in the resin, there's fewer bubbles. So yeah, so this is a good step. This is a good idea to just sort of coat the entire thing with a thin layer of resin, and this will ensure we have fewer bubbles, or hopefully no bubbles. And I'm just using a random brush for this, one that I don't mind putting in the bin after this, because once it's coated in resin, it's pretty much ending up in the bin. I forgot to mention, I have only coated the inside of the mold. I'm not doing the top, just because we're going to have to sand all of that down in any case. So I'm literally just coating the inside. I'm going to leave that to cure, and we will be back to pour. Okay, so it has been a good few hours and I'm ready to do the first layer on this. I've mixed up some resin, and I'm going to color this with some black mica, because this is going to be the first and sort of the base layer of this piece, and I feel like this is going to be a nice touch to have at the bottom, because I want to have clear resin on the other layers so that we can see that lovely edge of the wood in the inner circle. Okay, so the black is down. I'm going to pop some bubbles, and we will be back for the next layer in a few hours. Okay, so it's been a few hours. Once again, my black is set. Well, not set, but kind of tacky. And I'm ready for the next layer, and from now on I'm going to be using this deep pour epoxy resin by Jade Dictions, and I'm also going to be using this vacuum pot by Resiners to make sure that I get nice clear epoxy without any bubbles for this pour. And I will once again link everything along with discount codes in the description. This tool is an absolute lifesaver when it comes to projects like this, because bubbles are a nightmare to deal with on such projects, and it just puts me at ease knowing that I'm not going to be having that issue. And look at how clear that is. Just a couple of surface bubbles on top, which I'm going to get rid of, and in it all goes.
The next day.
Okay, so it's the next day. We are ready for yet another pour. Once again, same process, deep pour epoxy resin, and I have vacuumed it again taking the bubbles out and just pouring it right in. Now in this layer, I'm almost up to the top, and I am going to be having this piece milled on the CNC, so I'm not too worried about filling it up completely up top because it is going to be flattened in any case. So I'm happy with where the resin is sitting. All I'm going to do is just go around and put a tiny amount into those gaps. I mean, we will have to fill in those later once it's come back from milling, but I'm just doing some of it so it seeps into those little cracks and voids. And while I do that, can I remind you to like, comment, sub, and ring the notification bell. It really helps out my channel, you doing all of this, and you know, this way you're supporting me and my channel, and I would really, really appreciate. And I'm thankful to all of you that do that already. It's the next day and it is time to take this out of the mold. So comes out nice and easy from my mold. There is a tiny amount of resin that seeped through, which we imagined it would. So I'm just pulling that out, and it would probably come out a lot better if I gave it some heat. But yeah. And there's also that glue that, once again, like if I give it a little nudge, it comes out nice and easy. So this is what it looks like at the bottom, and we're now going to have this milled on a CNC, and I do this by taking it to my local shop, and they do a fabulous job for me on getting these done. I wish someday I could have my own CNC, but until then this will do just fine. Okay, so after some satisfying footage of it being milled, we are back and we are ready to get this finished. So as you can see, there are a ton of cracks and voids that we now need to go over and fill in. And for that, I'm going to use some handy dandy UV resin and do that. This is so much easier than going in with the regular epoxy. And I am using my Jade Action Officials UV resin, and my kit even came with a UV lamp. So I have this UV torch and I have a UV lamp, and I will use both of them to get this job done quicker. As I put my UV resin down, I'm using a little toothpick just to sort of encourage the UV resin to go into those cracks, and that's what I do before I hit it with the UV lamp. And now comes everyone's favorite bit. It's sanding. I'm going to have to sand the living daylights out of this piece, so yeah, I better get a move on. So I've sanded the top. I'm hitting my sander on the edges now. I want to get these nice and smooth and take away any of those marks of the glue. And I also want to give it a slight smooth edge on the corners at the front. So I'm also doing that with my sander.
2,000 years later.
After several hours of sanding and several sanding discs later, we are back to apply the finish on this. And finally, for the most satisfying part, I believe, at least for me, I'm gonna go ahead and apply this Rubio Monocoat oil and just watch this piece come to life. So I've done 2 coats of the Monocoat, and I'm back now the next day to do some graphene coating on this to make this super hydrophobic and just add in another layer of protection to it. And with that, this table is finally complete. Let me show you what it looks like in my client's home. Absolutely love how this turned out. I've enjoyed creating this so much, and leave me some comments. Let me know what you think of this, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.